Cyberpunk 2077 is basically a love letter to every cyberpunk movie that defined the genre from the 80s and early 90s. CD Projekt Red clearly grew up watching some amazing VHS tapes, and they poured all of that into Night City. Walking through these neon-soaked streets feels like stepping into those movies, and that's exactly what they were going for.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Blade Runner is probably the biggest inspiration, and honestly, it's impossible to talk about Cyberpunk without mentioning it. Ridley Scott's vision of a dystopian future basically created the visual language that every Cyberpunk story has used since. Night City feels like it was ripped straight from that movie. I can't walk through certain parts of Night City without thinking about Deckard navigating the streets of 2019 Los Angeles. The game captured that same atmosphere of beautiful decay, where incredible technology exists alongside poverty and urban rot. Judge Dredd's influence is all over Night City's approach to law enforcement. Mega City 1 and Night City are basically cousins, massive urban sprawls where crime is rampant and the authorities are barely keeping things together.
Let me guess. Life.
The NCPD operates in that same brutal, overwhelming environment where violence is the only language that matters. The verticality of Night City, with these massive towers and the way different levels of society are literally stacked on top of each other, feels to me straight out of Judge Dredd. I love how both of them show law enforcement as this overwhelmed force that's given up on protecting people and just tries to contain the chaos. The cynicism about justice and authority, and the sense that the system is broken beyond repair, is something both Judge Dredd and Cyberpunk 2077 nail.
One time, a Maelstrom ganger killed a young kid right in front of my eyes. For shits and giggles. I couldn't do shit. The son of a bitch had corporal protection. Our chief greases his palms with an anonymous donation. And guess what? Officially, kid blew his own brains out.
Right in front of your eyes.
Honestly, I used to think that stuff like this was over-the-top popcorn cinema without much truth to it. But look at the real world now. Look at the whole drama with the files and how half the world's leaders were either part of it or somehow involved. They pretend to hate each other publicly, but then have orgies together behind closed doors, or admit to snoring cocaine from toilet seats.
And I said, I'm not scared of a germ. You know, I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats.
You mean you eat other people's lunches? Stop it!
Repo Man might be the most underrated influence on Cyberpunk 2077. That movie had this punk rock energy and wild humor that I see scattered throughout the game. There is this anti-establishment attitude and the sense that everything is slightly unhinged.
Paid? You don't get paid. Hey, look at that. Look at those assholes over there. Ordinary fucking people. I hate them.
The sidekicks and random encounters in Cyberpunk have that same strange, unpredictable quality that Repo Man had. You never knew what kind of weirdness you'd run into in that movie, and Night City has that same energy. The game isn't afraid to get bizarre and experimental with its storytelling. Repo Man showed a future that was grimy and weird and oddly mundane at the same time. Not everything was high-tech and flashy, sometimes it was just strange people doing strange jobs in a world that had left them behind.
I've seen men stabbed, didn't mean shit. Yeah, I've seen guns too, they don't mean shit. But that's when you gotta watch yourself.
Night City is full of those moments where the mundane and bizarre crash together. Cyberpunk 2077 took all these influences and blended them into something that feels like the greatest compilation of cyberpunk cinema. The game is a celebration of everything that made those movies special, and I love it for that. Cyberpunk 2077 dropped in 2020 as this broken and ambitious mess of a game that people either loved or tore apart depending on which console they played it on. But to me, somewhere under all the bugs and the controversy, CD Projekt Red was cooking and built a world that's looking more and more like the one we're actually heading to.
One time, A Maelstrom ganger killed a young kid right in front of my eyes. For shits and giggles. I couldn't do shit. The son of a bitch had corporal protection.
CD Projekt Red built Night City on the shoulders of 80s and 90s sci-fi that saw where we were heading long before we did. The Running Man, RoboCop, Blade Runner, Judge Dredd, Total Recall, just to name a few. I realize now that these were warnings disguised as action flicks and VHS rentals. And now we're living in the world they predicted, and Cyberpunk 2077 is the video game that connects all those dots.
Who asked you to think?
Excuse me?
I know damn well it wasn't me. Who was it? A word of advice, if I may. Do only what you're told to do.
I mean, think about it, we have the same corporate control and media manipulation, a constantly growing wealth gap, and just as much violence as entertainment. Most of us are so desensitized to violence at this point that we don't even view it as anything out of the ordinary, no matter if it's fictional or real. Our current timeline is just as fucked up as Cyberpunk, and it's only getting worse.
Our chief greases his palms with an anonymous donation. And guess what? Officially, kid blew his own brains out.
Right in front of your eyes.
Night City runs on corporate power that's basically untouchable. Arasaka, Militech, Biotechnica, these mega corporations own everything that matters, including private armies and the media. They're more powerful than governments because governments barely exist anymore. Politicians are just corporate puppets wearing different suits.
I did not seduce her. I kidnapped her. Right after the Buenos Six show.
Well, on to the romantic.
I feel like RoboCop nailed the corporate dystopia angle even stronger. The OCP owns the police and the city while treating human life as a resource to be optimized or discarded. Murphy gets killed and rebuilt as a product and a law enforcement tool, with his humanity scooped out and replaced by a program. That's exactly what happens to people in Night City. You install enough Chrome and eventually you're more machine than person. Cyberpsychosis is what happens when the modifications push you past some invisible line and you snap. The game treats it like a medical condition, but in my opinion, it's really about losing your humanity one upgrade at a time.
You look like a cut of fuckable meat, are you?
Your move, creep.
Media and RoboCop is everywhere you look. I mean, the movie is basically a walking commercial with breaks interrupting news about urban warfare from time to time. There are advertisements for products nobody needs or cares about, and entertainment is designed to distract you from the fact that society is collapsing.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready for Captain Freedom's workout.
Night City has the same constant media presence and brain rot. I mean, billboards are everywhere and you are basically bombarded with ads for literally everything. No matter where you go, the whole city is designed to keep you consuming and distracted. Although on a side note, I have to say that the city really does look visually incredible and CDPR really did cook here. I mean, damn, does it look good.
I'd buy that for $1.
The game's got this whole thing about media consumption and manufactured experiences where brain dances let you live someone else's memories and feel what they felt. It's the ultimate type of content and dopamine. Total Recall came out in 1990 and asked the question of what's real when your brain can be rewritten. Quaid goes to Recall for a vacation memory and ends up questioning his entire identity. Are his memories real or planted? Is he actually a secret agent or just a construction worker with delusions?
But how real does it seem?
As real as any memory in your head.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
No, I'm telling you, Doug, your brain will not know the difference.
And Gina loads the orgy with the infinite loop orgasm at the end.
No, at least double that.
You're kidding. And he couldn't tell?
Nah, come on.
What about the guy you lobotomized? Did he get a refund?
Quality's lousy, but I did what I could. What am I looking out for?
After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
Night City offers the exact same experience since brain dances let you experience other people's memories. The line between who you are and who you're becoming gets blurred until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Total Recall asks if you're still you when your memories are fake. Cyberpunk is asking the same question, but also lets you experience it for yourself. I mean, at this point we've got TikTok, Instagram and YouTube. Millions of people consume endless streams of other people's experiences, living through influencers and content creators. I think it's really interesting how over-the-top entertainment is presented here because it clearly has lost its mind and gone off the rails. But then again, look at the modern media landscape, especially on social media, and you'll see plenty of fucked up and over-the-top content, not to mention all the useless stuff that will give you brain rot.
Emeka, are robots going to take human jobs?
We're more about shifting roles rather than stealing jobs. Think of us as your new co-workers who don't drink all the coffee and never bring fish to microwave in the communal kitchen.
Your company built the fucking thing. Now I gotta deal with it? I don't have time for this bullshit.
The Running Man came out in 1987 and gave us a future where entertainment is violence and the population is pacified by watching convicts get murdered on live TV. The game show is like a drug and influences people's dopamine hits and attention spans.
Americans love television. They wean their kids on it. They love sports, violence. So what do? We give them what they want.
The corporations and the Running Man control everything and the government is just their puppet. ICS owns the game show, the network and especially the narrative. Same deal in Night City with Arasaka and Militech. They've got private armies and write their own laws. When you die in Night City, Trauma Team shows up if you've got platinum insurance. If you don't, you're on your own because healthcare isn't a right. It's a product for people who can afford it.
Suicide. Tomorrow? No! Today! What part of dead don't you understand? No, she was not pronounced dead by Trauma Team. If she'd have had coverage, we wouldn't be talking.
We already have deepfakes, misinformation campaigns, and media owned by billionaires with agendas. The current AI push makes everything even worse as it not only harms the livelihood of people, causing them to lose jobs, but it also is getting to a point where you can't even tell if what you're looking at is AI or an actual photograph. It really does seem like humans didn't learn a single thing from the original Terminator, which honestly, watching it today just feels like a prophetic movie instead of 80s sci-fi. It's no wonder why it became one of the greatest movies ever made.
There will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want to have a job for sort of personal satisfaction, but the AI will be able to do everything. So
all these movies understood that corporate power unchecked becomes indistinguishable from fascism. The Running Man's ICS, Robocop's OCP, Blade Runner's Tyrell Corporation, Total Recall's Recall, or Dread's mega corporations. They control resources, media, and law enforcement, shaping reality to serve profit. Cyberpunk 2077 puts you in a world where that's already happened, with corporations going to war with each other using private armies. Here, your value is determined by what you can produce or consume.
For 50 years, we've told them what to eat, what to drink, what to wear.
Playing Cyberpunk 2077 after watching those old movies on VHS feels strange, as the connections are impossible to miss, at least for me. The neon-soaked visuals and cynicism about power and human nature all come from the same understanding that unchecked corporate power and technological advancement without ethical consideration leads somewhere dark.
Killian, I'll be back.
Only in a rerun.
To me, Cyberpunk 2077 feels nostalgic in a way that has nothing to do with when it actually came out, and everything to do with what it's pulling from. Every time I boot it up, I get the sense that I'm stepping into a future that was imagined decades ago, back when the 80s thought neon lights, chrome, and men pumped full of steroids were going to last forever. It doesn't feel modern in the usual sense. It feels more like a worn out vision of the future that's been sitting on a shelf since the VHS era, slowly collecting dust but never losing its edge. A lot of that comes from how unapologetically 80s the whole thing is. The city is soaked in neon, but not in a clean or sleek way, but in that grimy and grainy way you'd see in old sci-fi movies and album covers. Night City feels like something that would have been painted on the side of a van or airbrushed on the back of a leather jacket. Everything glows and nothing ever feels quiet. It reminds me of a time when the future was imagined as loud, dangerous, and a little trashy instead of minimalist and sterile like a lot of modern entertainment seems to present it. I mean, the future shown in movies nowadays just looks so bleak and dark, almost like making dark sci-fi is now considered cool and edgy, which I personally hate with a passion.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
The tech in Cyberpunk 2077 also feels ripped straight out of that era. The big screens, bold colors, chunky interfaces, and wires everywhere. The cyberware is invasive and uncomfortable, like something you'd see in an old sci-fi flick where the future clearly came at a cost. I think that's where a lot of the nostalgia kicks in for me. This isn't a future designed to be user-friendly, it's a future that looks cool and ruins your life at the same time.
I'll be back.
Can't do that.
Wrong. You look like a cut of fuckable meat, are you?
Your move, creep.
The music plays a huge role in that feeling. Even when it's not straight synthwave, unfortunately, there's this constant pulse that feels tied to 80s sci-fi and action movies. Driving through the city at night with the radio on feels like cruising through a cyberpunk version of a late-night cable movie marathon. It brings back that feeling of staying up too late, watching something you probably shouldn't, and feeling like you've tapped into a secret world that only exists after midnight.
I'm back to pushing right and left, take it right, and left, and left, and left.
Cover this beat. I'm a private eye.
What really seals it for me is the attitude of the whole game. Cyberpunk 2077 carries that old school cynicism that was all over 80s sci-fi. Corporations run everything, the system is broken beyond repair, and people try to survive however they can. There's no clean hero's journey here, just survival and small victories that don't change the world.
One time, a Maelstrom ganger killed a young kid right in front of my eyes. For shits and giggles. I couldn't do shit. The son of a bitch had corporal protection. Our chief greases his palms with an anonymous donation. And guess what? Officially, kid blew his own brains out.
Right in front of your eyes.
Tomorrow? No! Today! What part of dead don't you understand? No, she was not pronounced dead by trauma team. If she'd have had coverage, we wouldn't be talking.
That outlook feels very tied to the era it draws from, when the future was exciting but also clearly messed up. I think that's why Cyberpunk 2077 feels nostalgic even if you didn't grow up in the 80s. It's channeling a very specific version of the future that never happened, one that lived in movies, comics, and album art.
This one, real fucking ugly.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Ah, fuck you!
Playing it feels like stepping into that forgotten future and walking around inside it for a while. It's messy, flawed, and sometimes frustrating, but it has a soul that feels rooted in a time when imagination mattered the most. I mean, a lot of stuff that was considered B-level at the time ended up being iconic or a cult classic. Even the Terminator was initially seen as a low-budget movie, and look where the franchise is now, for better or worse. To me, Cyberpunk 2077 isn't trying to predict where we're going, even though it's doing a great job at that. It feels more like a love letter to where we thought we were going back when neon lights and synth were supposed to define the next century.
Neon Nights, the dance album with Human League. Holland Oates. It'll make you move with Rick James. This album's hot. Neon Nights. Grab it. Available at these and other fine stores.